All right, how's it going, guys? Welcome back. This one is going to be interesting. We actually are installing some new spotlights today. The Narva Ultima 215 MK3s. This is going to be not your usual spotlight install. The difference with these and the difference between all the other 12 volt installs I've done when it comes to lights is that this doesn't require a relay. So it makes it so much more simple. I've removed the old setup we had, took out all the relays, all the wires. It's crazy, the technology now. This is going to be so straightforward. It's changing the game when it comes to installing lights on your four-wheel drive. So stay tuned. We're Joss and Megan, and after 2 years of living full-time on the road in a rooftop tent, we learnt a lot. Now we're here to share what worked, what didn't, and everything we wish we knew before we started. So it's this little beauty here, the Ultima Connect Plus, which changes the game regarding how things work. Lights these days are so much more smarter. So we're gonna run you through the differences of this to, I guess, a run-of-the-mill old style spotlight setup would be, and yeah, how easy this is to connect. It makes DIY so straightforward. When I was learning, self-teaching how to do 12 volt stuff, relays were a big component of it, obviously, to get power to your light through a switch, but things have changed. So this here kind of acts as a clever, it's hard to explain, but it knows the difference between your high beam and when it's off. So connecting it all is way more simple, but also I have the Narva Ultima 24-inch light bar up the top of my car there, which was already there. This is just simply plug and play. It was on a relay, I've removed that relay, and now I just plug it into what comes with this stuff. It works. It's crazy. All right, I've removed the old spotlights. I've put in the fuses already. So we still need a fuse for the big spotties, and my fuse right there for my light bar. This is a positive for the Connect Plus that I just showed you. Those two are the positives for the fuse. This is a headlight adapter, high beam adapter, which goes, it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a different type of connection. So we need like I don't know what these are called. I call them T connections. We need to transfer it to that. That plugs again straight into what we've got over there. This stuff here is just what's coming from my light bar. So previously these were not used and I had a relay. These were just hiding away. I thought I'd keep them attached just for when I ever have a setup like this. And I'm glad I did, because all I have to do now is plug stuff into this LINBus. Now LINBus is kind of the secret here. It talks to everything. It makes everything connected. It's a two-way system, I'm pretty sure. It can connect multiple things and it figures it all out itself. It's not super easy to explain and it's not super easy for me to understand either, but all I know is you connect LINBus up together with the Connect Plus, the spotties and the light bar on top, and it knows what it's doing. I was surprised at how simple it all was. Let's take a look at these spotties. Now, they look really nice. These ones are MK3s. They're solid, they're quite heavy, but made really well. Really good brackets, got a cover on them. These ones have got the blue or the teal outline, or I'm not sure, but you can, where is it? You can get different colors. So whatever suits your rig, and then you've obviously got the covers, but I've just got this standard set. Now, what comes here, flip it over, is Deutsch plugs. So that's obviously, I'm just gonna feed that into the front there. Here's our setup. So here's the controller. That's gonna go in the cab, and then you've just got your Deutsch plugs, one there and one there, that plug into the back of your thing. So it might look a little bit complicated here, but all we've really got is a negative. That goes to the fuse I showed you. And then these four are for the controller, the Connect Plus. So you've got LINBus, which is the smart talking thing. Your positive, which I showed you, which is fused onto the battery. And then this one is your negative and your vehicle park. So these do have this cool little light here, as does the light bar. So when you're driving, it's just another little driving light. It's a good safety feature, so you're always seen. So that comes on with the ignition. So that's part of that. And then also it comes with a LINBus splitter, which is perfect because I've got 2 lights. So that means that the Connect Plus controller can talk to the spotties and the light bar, and then no relays needed, like I said. So this might look a little bit confusing, but really it says positive, LINBus, yellow's high beam, which I showed you before, which is just the T connector. And then you've got the T connector, which is both negative and parking a vehicle. It says vehicle park. The other one said ignition, so I've hooked it up to the ignition. On the spotty side of things, it's got this one, which is the green and the black. And then on this side, it's got the green and the black. But because of LINBus, so my light bar also has a green and a black, but there's no need to split them. So what the LINBus does, it knows that it's getting ignition through this one. This is a spotty, the spotties. Ignition goes through this one, through the T, which I said, which is this one, and then that hooks onto the black and the green, this one. And there's no need to do the same for the light bar because of LINBus, and the LINBus tells that exactly what the spotties are telling the controller. So when the ignition's on, it tells the light bar. When the high beams are on, it tells the light bar. It does that all through LINBus. There's no need to hook up the light bar to anything but your battery and LINBus, and negative. So that's pretty much how simple it is. Once you've got, I guess, a main system set up, you can add in different lights, and then it's all connected through the same system. And what it does is, it doesn't mean you need to get bigger cables or anything, because you're still going to have it same fused and sense power to the light appropriately, but the power won't go until LINBus tells it to go, which means that it's all still really safe, which is good. All right, so that's a rough explanation that's probably just confused the hell out of everyone, but now we're going to get onto the install. It should be pretty straightforward. We're really just going to mount the lights, deal with this area here. Ideally, I just want to keep it really tidy. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. Obviously, there is quite a bit. These are quite long. They make these quite long, and then there's even a bit of length on them. I'll probably coil them up, cable tie them in behind the grill here. That way things are neat. So I have taken off the panel so I can get under here and deal with that. And then when I install the bolts, which were quite hard to get off, but there is this little section here on the ARB bull bars that I can do. So let's see how long it takes me. What I find way easier is if you, which is probably pretty normal, but take the lights out of the brackets. We'll install the brackets. They come with a little bit of rubber, which I'll place down there, and then figure out which bolts I want to use. I think previously I just used 2. You don't need to go overkill because it's quite well, everything's held in place quite well, and the bolts are all lock nuts and everything. So let's do it. So just making sure it doesn't hit the top there or this when the brackets are in that position. That would be annoying. So this is what it comes with: a bunch of bolts, washers, spring washers, little washers, and that kind of thing. So I guess it's, up to you how you want to install it. You might want to use your own, depending on your bull bar, depending on your mounts, that kind of thing. So everything here should be usable for me. And then they fit in really nicely so they won't spin in there, and you can just do them up from the bottom if it's easier said than done. So I guess you can just do them finger tight, because once you put the light in, the tops of the bolts won't move because they're in the groove. So then you can put the light in, adjust it how you want, and then tighten up from the bottom. Now it can get a bit fiddly here with this bar here, just adjusting or putting in these bolts and then that long rod. But you should have enough space in this gap if you've got ARB, but just be wary that, if you're putting it on after you're bolting it in, you just need a bit of room. It's a bit fiddly, but not too bad. So I use a drill because I hate these like security things, and it's just these things just kind of slip out, these Allen key things. So use the drill, don't do it tight with the drill, tighten it up with this thing. All right, so that's number one mounted. Looks pretty good. Wait till the end when we take this off, it's probably the most satisfying bit. But yeah, that is pretty much how it is. I'll just leave this loose for a bit and then we can do number two. I've installed that one, same. They're not straight, but we can always adjust after. Now, got your two Deutsch plugs here. Now, I think they're the same length, but what's not the same length, I think, is the two males that come from the battery. So you can, if you're running it from further, make sure that the longer one is running to the further side. Just something to keep in mind when you're running it. So we're going to ignore the Connect Plus controller for this part because this is purely the spotlights wiring. Now, the wiring harness we have here splits into two. You've got your two male Deutsch plugs. Then you come to this end of things, and some things we use, some things we don't. Brown one here, we do not use. That is for if you're using a relay. It says it on here, do not use with Connect Plus. So we ignore that one. We can cut it off and isolate it if we want, whatever. Then we've got your green one here, which is position light ignition for use with Connect Plus. So previously I've got a wire in the front here that is connected to the ignition. So that's what I'm going to connect this one to. Then we've got this here is what goes to LINBus. So the white is LINBus. Like I said earlier, we've got a splitter because light bar goes in there, spotty's in there, and this goes to the controller. Then we've got our Ultima Connect Plus controller, which if you can see it, the wires are green and black. That also plugs into the controller when we get to that point. Then you've obviously got your negative, which goes straight to the battery. And then you've got your 2-lume A, that goes to your fuse, which connects to the battery. So you pretty much just got positive, negative, controller, ignition, ignore, lights. That's how we're going to do it. First thing we're going to do is run those down here. We're going to go into this cavity and then behind into the big space there because we're going to have excess stuff. And we'll cable tie them up somewhere safe behind the bull bar, behind the grill, out of the way. Then hopefully we're left with just this section in this area. So it looks a little bit messy, but it's not too bad for now. If everything sits neatly, we'll tidy it up once we've finished. Okay, so I've fed it, like we came down here from the engine bay. I've fed these two that way. They're just hanging out here. Awkward thing with this ARB bull bar is I can't get this off without taking this off. Ideally, I don't have to take that off, but we'll see. Because we've got a lot of thing here. So what I might do, because I can get my hand in here just, though it does hurt after a while. But if I feed the things from the lights into this area, I might be able to then, oh, I can get my hand in here as well. Because there's a good bracket here to, there's a good bracket here to tie stuff onto, but it's probably worth connecting everything first. All right, so now they're connected, we know that's where it all needs to be. We can just make sure everything here has enough length. So your negative's probably your main one. You need to make sure that's reaching battery terminal. And then this one has to reach back to your power. That's to your Connect controller, which there's plenty of room. Ignore that. This one here is running down to this. So I'm going to shorten that because that only needs to be like that long. So we can do that now. So something to note, so if I plug the positive in now, because the negative's on the battery, if I were to plug the positive in now and there would be no LINBus connection, the lights will just come on. So they're just getting power. Whereas LINBus tells the lights, don't turn on yet. There's no high beam on. So that's just something, this is kind of saying that if you don't have a relay, before the LINBus is connected, it's just gonna act like a normal circuit. That's where we're at now, because we haven't connected the controller, the Connect Plus controller. So yeah, if I was to connect those two, the lights would turn on. All we've got here is our two coming from the battery, one coming from the light bar, one coming from the spotties. That's our ignition little thing, so that's good. This is our headlights, but because everything, the Connect controller, it's all kind of sitting here. So let me just show you what we've got. So the Connect controller needs a positive, so that comes from here. It's fused, that one's there. And then we've got, this is coming from the light bar. This is coming from the spotties. This is a splitter. So this is the light bar, LINBus splitter. We're gonna connect those two. So now the spotties and the light bar are on the same LINBus. That means we only have to connect one of these, because they're the same, light bar, spotties. We only have to connect one of them to the Connect controller. Now it's probably all gonna sit in here because the hole in the firewall is in that corner. So it's probably all gonna sit down nice and neatly in here. So I'll grab the Connect controller and show you that side of things. There's a few here, but this is what the controller goes into. So this is what we're pushing through the firewall. And then here, so we can kind of simulate it. Then we've got our LINBus, so that goes into the splitter. So connecting the light bar and the spotties to the controller. We've got our high beams. The high beams are there. Good thing is, they usually supply you with a high beam extender, so I'm just gonna get that. Now it does add like probably a few more lengths of stuff, but it does mean I don't have to have everything sitting in this corner. There. The green and red, which we've spoken about a lot. We're gonna run that from the spotties. Ignore the one on the light bar, it doesn't need it. Then we've got our positive. And you might be wondering where the negative is for the Connect controller. It runs with the green one here, so the black one uses the negative from the spotties. Plug that in, and now that is the system complete. This hooks into the other end of the controller, which goes in your dash. Because there's so many little bits here, and you can't cover all these up with conduit, I'm probably gonna have them in this cavity here, cable tie them so things don't rattle around. I think that'll be the best way. So we'll go and do that now, neaten everything up, get some cable ties, and then we'll be able to put this through the firewall, run it to the cab where we want it, and then we're gonna test it out. Attempt now is to get the Connect Plus controller wire through the firewall. It's not too bad, but it's a bit awkward behind that thing. Is that a fuel pump? Whatever that is. It's behind there, so it's just a bit awkward to do it. So I'll attempt to do that now. It could be a bit fiddly. Awkwardness was that it's just so, like the insulation, that's it there. The insulation was just stopping it, and obviously the big wire loom there was also stopping it. So a little delicate help with the old nose pliers got the job done. So I'll pull that through, run it behind the dash. It's quite long, and then try and figure out where we're going to sit the controller, and we'll have a look at that. Fed it through to the driver's side. Now, this is the controller. We'll go through the things maybe in a different video, but quickly, you've got main up and down, aux up and down, on, off, boost, dirt driving, rock climbing, and highway driving. The other thing is, the good thing is, this has this option to either run the cable to the left, the right, or straight down. So there's limited spots in the BT-50 about where to put things, but it's probably going to sit here for me. Therefore, I'll have the cable running to the left, and it'll go in the gap between the steering column and the dash, and I'll cable tie it all up neatly behind. Yeah, so that's probably where it will go. Simple plug, and then that'll need like, so this bit isn't that long, so that's why that bit's so long. All right, let's install that bit. Plate, which you can either stick the sticky thing, which I've got, or comes with screws, but I don't want to screw into my dash, so sticky thing it is. Test it before we go too much further, make sure everything works correctly. That one in, wind it together, so it's just temporary. We'll just go around now and plug in the the positives of the light bar and the thing, and we'll see that they don't turn on. Nope, nothing's turned on. So the LINBus is telling it there's no headlights on. You can also see that even the running daylights, whatever they're called, aren't on either. So let's, where are my keys? Turn the car on and see how we go. I believe that's supposed to turn white, but I think you just can't see it. Maybe it doesn't. Or maybe the car needs to be on, which I'm not going to do just yet. So high beam is on. So that there, you can see that turns on. Does that one turn on? And then they're on. I'll turn high beam off, they turn off. So that's kind of just the main switch, I guess, is that one. And then that is boost. And then if you've got it on, the green light comes on. So that's working, it's working. All right, so I've installed it all. I've tidied everything up. It all works well. I've tested it a couple of times. The last thing we got to do is take this off. These are actual protectors of the actual light. So I'm taking off the protector of the protector. Yeah, this is probably the most satisfying bit. Whoa, so nice and clean and shiny. This will be the cleanest it'll ever be. Thanks for watching the install. If you want to see more, I'll do another video on how the controller works and all the different buttons and everything, and we'll take it out for a drive at night and see how they really perform. But yeah, that's it. It's a little bit complicated at the start, but it all makes sense, especially with the wiring loom. It's so much easier than dealing with relays and all that kind of thing. If you want to know more, if you want us to do a video on something else, leave a comment below. Bye.